Hi, I'm Karen. I'm one of the tutors at Carnegie House and I'm the textiles tutor. We have our meetings on a Wednesday in normal circumstances from 10 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. One of my specialities is recycling and using things that we already have. I love embroidery, I love fabrics, my work is all in fabrics and embroidery as well. So I like to share the information that I can. And I'm going to show you now how you can actually use all of these to create some of these beautiful fabrics that I have here. And I'm going to go through them one by one to show you how you do it. Okay, so here we go. First of all, you're going to need your fabric. Now, if you are like me and you've been sorting out your cupboards and you have been looking at all the different things you've got and what you can do with them or anything, you might find yourself with some bits of fabric and you haven't really realised it. So for instance, these are two old pillowcases. They're single pillowcases. I think they were at one point in time double, but we only have the single ones at the minute. Have embroidery on one of them, which I'm going to cut off, but they're cotton pillowcases, which is really nice to be able to use. I've also got some cotton napkins, here, which I found in the back of the cupboard, which I'll give a wash, which had a nice wash. I've also got a pair of very thin cotton summer pyjama bottoms, which we used ages and ages ago, and they're washed and they're clean, but I quite like the fact that they're cotton and they've got this little patterning, so I can do all sorts of stuff to it. You may have a stash of cotton fabric as it is anyway, but if you haven't got anything, have a look at what you have got. Cotton, linen, wool or silk. So the first thing I'm going to show you is something you can very easily do, and it's one of the things I use a lot of. How many of us have been cleaning out our cupboards and got these lovely rusty nuts and bolts and things from our cupboards at the bottom of our garden? With them, you can create such beautiful pieces of work, well, not work, but fabrics that you can work on afterwards. This is done from a bolt. These are all on cotton. This is muslin, this is cotton, this is silk. And also by doing this method, you also end up with beautiful pieces of thread as well, which you can then intermix into your stitching as well if you want to. So these are my threads here. They're almost like tie-dye threads. And it's such an easy process to do. All you need is some rusty objects and some tea bags and some threads to wrap around. You can either use wool, you can use anything you want. I use embroidery silks or sewing cotton so that I can then use them again afterwards to stitch with, and it creates a lovely variegated pattern, and they're all done naturally, nothing really else done to it. And all you do is you brew yourself a cup of tea in your teapot. Hot, cold, just leave it to stand so it's nice strong tea. Then you get your objects, you put them inside your fabric. So you might do it, let's see, you might put one or two pieces in. Get your thread. I'm going to use one I've already done to show you, and just tie it. Tie it really, really, really tight. It's almost like tie-dye. So tie it really, really tight, winding it up. And you wind it like that until you've got it all nicely tied together. Then into a glass bowl or any bowl that you want. Glass bowl is easier because it's easier to clean, because don't forget this is rust. So this is rusty iron. So you don't want that sort of going into something that's like plastic where it's going to stay in it, unless you're going to keep it for dyeing all the time. So what you can do then is pour your cup of tea or your pot of tea into a bowl, put this in, leave it overnight, take it out, dry it, unwrap it, and you should come out with some lovely wrapped pieces. And these are lovely for working on, they're lovely for stitching on, for cutting out and becoming part of collages or quilts or anything like that. And the combination of the tea and the rust from the things that we found down the bottom of the cupboard create this lovely effect that there is now. So that's one thing that you can do with it. Something else we can use are everyday objects, everyday things. I've been around my kitchen. This is only very small, it's for cooking, believe me. It's not for drinking, this one. I don't drink red wine. So this is red wine, this is turmeric, this is red food colouring, coffee, tea, fruit tea bags. You can also use lots of other things as well. So you can use things like any flowers that you've got in the garden, avocado skins, red cabbage, beetroot, spinach, turmeric, as I put there, the lichens from when you're going for a walk, blueberries, nettles, mint, dandelion, any flowers. The world is your oyster really. Whatever you've got in your garden or whatever you can find when you go for a walk or whatever is in your kitchen cupboard. So using all of these things, you can have some beautiful colours. All you do is you put them into a pan of water, boil them up a bit so it starts releasing the colour, and put your fabric in. Now there are two things you can do with your fabric. You can either put it in, just a little bit wet, nothing on it at all. So what you need to do is you look in your cupboard and all you need is salt and vinegar. Preferably white vinegar, but you can use brown vinegar as well. And if you are dyeing with berries, you can use salt. If you're dyeing any of the other things, you use vinegar. And what you do is you soak your fabric in a mix of vinegar and water, or in a mix of salt and water, and let them soak for a little while so it gets in, say maybe half an hour, and then you rinse it off and then it's ready for you to dye. However, that will hold the colours that you create for just a little bit longer. However, you don't have to do that. With any natural dyeing that you do without the mordants, you're always going to fade and lose some colour. But if you add the salt and the vinegar, it will retain them for just a little bit longer. So you can use any of these things that you want to. So for instance, this one here, this lovely colour here, there's a piece of lace which was white, this is a piece of silk, and then this is a piece of cotton, and this is a piece of calico. These were all dyed with red cabbage. Okay, so it gives you this lovely purple colour that you can find. One thing to remember is that if you're going to do this and you're going to do it regularly and you're going to use things like rust and you're going to use things like that, keep a pan to one side. Find a very old pan that you don't want to use again, okay? Because the problem is that once you start using things like rust and you start messing about with boiling plants and all sorts of things like that, you must make sure that the pan is very, very clean, okay? So you can get all these beautiful colours from things that you have got just hanging around in the house. You don't need to go out. And so, especially if you just want to do things with little bits of fabric, you want to change the colour of the fabric, you want to change the way it looks, all those things. You can even do it with your threads. So here I also put some threads in with them. I wound them around the bobbin and I put them in to make sure that they were dyed properly. And some of them have come out sort of variegated. So I have some nice colours there to use. If you haven't got the time to stand over the pan and you want to do something a little bit different, you can do something, especially in this warm weather, that's called solar dyeing. And these are my solar dyeing bits of fabric. You can see here, this one has onion skins in, and I've scrunched down a piece of cotton fabric. This one has tea leaves in, which you can see are there. This one has food colouring in. I just decided to have a go and see what food colouring was like. And then this one here has tea in as well. And all you do with that, if you haven't got time to stand over a pan to do it, you just get a container, a jam jar, you stuff it. and then you wet a piece of fabric. So if I was doing it, say, with one of these pieces of fabric, I'll go for this one. You need the piece of fabric, you would scrunch it up, and then you would put it inside and you'd put more and more fabric in and you'd wedge it all in so it's nice and tight. And then you'll pour some lukewarm water onto it, seal it, give it a little bit of a shake just to start the process going, and then put it on your windowsill or wherever you have direct sunlight. And the direct sunlight will heat up the water. It will then almost like start the process going of all the colour coming out and everything. It will go cold, it will then heat up again, it will go cold, and then it will heat up again. And then what you do is, once you've got it to the sort of colour that you want it to, you can then take it out, clean it off. You'll lose a little bit of the colour, but also you will have it so it's quite variegated. So it will most probably go something like this as well. It's a bit like tie-dyeing. These are just a few simple ways of things that you can use in your house that you have. What I want to do in my next video will be to show you how you can actually use things to actually create different backgrounds. So for instance, how you can print onto your fabrics, how you can put colour onto your fabrics if you want to do any printing or anything with them. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments box, or if you're really interested in textiles, come along to the Carnegie House Textiles group page on Facebook, ask to join, I'll let you in and you can see all the wonderful things that we're all doing there. Have fun!